Hello and welcome to the LFC transferring for another edition of our YouTube streams here every day at 7:30. Got loads to get through today. Talking about CDMs, Ben Doak, Mo Salah, Gravenberch, loads of juicy stuff. Joined by Ben, Drew, and me. Hi today. Start with you, Ben. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. How are you?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Glorious weather's freezing in Liverpool.
Yeah, still never stopped me taking my shirt off yesterday to celebrate that second Nunes goal.
No, it was unbelievable game. But hi, how are you today?
Buzzing still.
Still buzzing. King Darwin. Assuming you're in the
Give me life.
Assuming you're in the same boat as well, then Drew, buzzing.
Yeah, I had a full 12 hours left in my day to celebrate yesterday, and I woke up today. It's morning and still buzzing, wanting to watch all the highlights again.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Unbelievable game, Darwin Nunes. Got a start, hasn't he, on the weekend against Villa. Shown he has got it in his locker. Silenced quite a few people. But we're going to start today's stream with reports coming from CBS Sports. So an American one. It's quite reliable, though. Quite reliable, according to the LFCTR admins. That they have put an offer in for 150 million euros for Mo Salah, but it's only 100 million euros guaranteed and 50 million add-ons. So it's about 80 million pounds. Start with you, Ben. I know he's not for sale, but that's just a laughable offer, isn't it, for clubs with so much money? They're only prepared to pay 100 million euros up front for Mo Salah.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. There was a lot of talk that there were about this 150 million pound offer, and obviously there was at what point are they going to get the attention of the club? But that is just they're just trying to. It's just an insult, really, isn't it? There's absolutely no chance that deal gets done. That sort of money. I mean, considering what Neymar went for and what Salah brings to what he's worth to us as a club, and the part that he plays for us, absolutely laughable. And it's one of them ones, isn't it? The idea of it's 150 million, $150 million, but we're only going to give you 80 million quid up front, so it just doesn't work.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, what number do you think Liverpool would listen to?
I think do you know what? I think next summer they'll listen to anything above maybe 90 million, 100 million next summer. I think this summer, though, because it is so late in the day and because there's such a shortage of time to replace Salah, I think it would have to be something crazy. I think it would actually have to be 150 million to get the attention. And I think if 150 million came in, I think a lot of us. I mean, I know some people would say, "Yeah, still can't sell him," but I think if 150 million pound came in, then you'd probably take it, wouldn't you? 150 million pound.
Next year.
Stupid money.
Yeah, I mean, well, what you Mahai he's definitely not for sale this summer, and we've had too much of a rebuild to even consider letting anyone else in other positions go. But 100 million euro, like I just said, 80 million pounds for potentially one of the best right wingers in the world. It is laughable, but say, for example, they offered that next summer. Do you think that could turn Liverpool's heads?
I think even for next summer, I think it is maybe on the lower side of what you'd expect, but I think around 100 and 120, more like 120 million euros, so 100 million pounds, then you'd listen, I guess. And I don't know if I'd be against it next summer. I mean, it depends. We'll see where we are, but to me, what makes me even more upset with all this is the fact that even if Salah, let's say he leaves next summer, I don't understand why we don't try and give him the best possible side around him this year to give him an actual chance to win something big for us one last time. Maybe, I don't know, I don't know, because we know we have the money, but yeah, that's not the point now. I don't know. I think next summer I would maybe start to listen to it. Now there's no chance because as it is, we're not signing anyone else until Friday. So, taking an offer for Salah now, and I mean, who do you buy? Realistically, you don't. As you said, I don't think you have like a lot of options, especially on the right wing now. So, yeah, for me, it's. When you said arguably, for me, it's not even up for debate. I think Mo Salah is the best right winger in the world right now. So, yeah, I don't think you can replace him.
Yeah, I mean, Drew, a boy is saying here, like, even next summer, he's 150. So, like, his value's not going to go down, which I'd agree with it to an extent because he's not going to have a bad season. He's Mo Salah. His standards are so high, but it's not even 150 million really that they've bid. It's only 100 million guaranteed, and there's 50 million in add-ons. Now, to be fair, them add-ons, we don't even know how achievable they would be, do we? Because we don't know what the league's going to pan out like, who's going to buy who next summer, etc.
Yeah, it kind of seems like it's just a make weight bid, kind of like to appease fans, maybe being like, well, we offered a fair deal, and we see Liverpool's situation, maybe they'd get, fan bases would be like, why didn't you go for Salah? This kind of like appeases, like, we gave it a shot and Liverpool said no, and everyone can understand why. Because if they were serious, they would have dropped like 200 million on the table and said, give us him now. But it seems like a bid that wasn't really expected to be accepted. And there's no situation unless you throw silly money at it right now where Liverpool would accept it. And that being said, like, if they throw it now, why wouldn't they just do it again in January or next season? It's just unlikely that anything comes of it right now. It's too close to the window ending. Like, we saw what happened with Caicedo. I can only imagine if we were scrambling to get a Salah replacement, how much teams would hold our feet over the fire, getting every last pound out of it. It's not worth it on any side, or at least for Liverpool at this moment. I don't think anyone realistically expects him to go.
Matty, can I just jump in there? Just going back to what Drew was saying, I think as well from our side, it's a bit of a the second that the Saudi clubs know that Mohamed Salah is available, there would be a bidding war for Mohamed Salah because of what he brings to the league, because of the commercial deals, because of the fact that he's a Muslim. The big circus that would follow Mohamed Salah to Saudi, without stupid money coming this summer, nonetheless, just purely because it's Mohamed Salah, whether he has a 10 out of 10 season or even a 6 out of 10 season or a 5 out of 10 season, next season, Liverpool can still get stupid money for Mohamed Salah. So in terms of urgency to sell, it's just obviously not there. It would have to be, I did just say 150 million pound. I'm going to retract on that. And just applying a bit of common sense, maybe even 200 million this summer. For him to go.
Yeah, I mean, Obay's saying here, Ben, that he wouldn't sell him this summer for 120 below. He'd wait till next because there is talk that PSG want him next summer, because Mbappe's going to go, and then there's obviously Barca want everyone. Real Madrid could maybe go in for him, but then if Mbappe goes there, it wouldn't make sense. So, do you think that'll play a factor, or do you think Saudi's probably a likely destination for Salah, given the religion side of it? Like, Khalil Bali's come out and said that was massive in him going there.
To be honest with you, yeah, the religion side will obviously play a part, but let's make no mistake about it. We all know what would be the key driving factor for Mohamed Salah going to Saudi Arabia. I think we're talking about £350,000 a day.
Yeah.
So it's one of them. Let's make no other way to dress it up. He'll be going for the money. Obviously, there'll be some sentiment in the fact that he's going to live and play in a Muslim country.
I mean, Mahai, surely it makes more sense for us next summer as well to sell to Saudi, because we'll probably get a bigger transfer fee, and he's not going to play against us in Europe.
Yeah, I think realistically that's where you'd expect him to go, for the reasons you've already mentioned. On the other hand, I do think that we know Mo Salah is extremely ambitious, I think we've seen that, especially in the last few years, with even in his posts online. I remember that post again after the match against City, where he stated, we're gonna go for it. We're ready. We have what it takes. So he's one of the main guys in the dressing room to push his teammates. So you could maybe see him try something else in Europe. But if he goes, it's only PSG and Real Madrid probably. Like I don't know. I saw Barca in the comments, but I don't know. With them, it's really interesting at the moment. With them, whole registration thing. They buy players and they can register them for like 2 months or so. So yeah, I would take the money obviously from the Saudi clubs, and I think they would be able to go pretty much higher than anyone else in Europe, because you don't really have any sort of regulations with them right now. So that might change till next summer, but yeah.
Drew, I mean, even thinking about him going next summer is sickening, really,
Yeah, it's a bit of, for me, a bit of both, where it's like he's been so pivotal to everything that we've done in the last like 5-6 years. Like when he came in, we thought he was going to be like back up to Mane, and just took center stage and really hasn't left center stage since. And it's one of those ones where, like, after you see like Henderson and Fabinho leaving, you already see that shift. Mane the season before, where we're like Klopp's having to build this new squad. And I think if we lost Salah, that'd be one of the huge pillars coming down. And especially when his output has just been so consistent over the years. Like you said earlier, I agree. I don't see him having a bad season. I still see him putting up like plus 20 goals, assists, etc.
Yeah.
And the way he treats his body, the way he, like, his hunger, his passion, his desire, like everything is there. Like, and barring some serious injury, he's going to be playing top level for at least the next couple of years. And I'd love for that to be at Liverpool. I'd love for him to add to the trophy cabinet. At the same time, I think it's kind of like Coutinho money when you get thrown that much above like the norm, where you could replace him. Like, I'm thinking of Chiesa. I know injury record, et cetera, but you could probably get Chiesa for like 70-80 mil, and then you'd still, if we're talking 150, you'd still have 70-80 mil left to go out and buy someone else. So it's when those things come into consideration. I think that's what we kind of got away from. What was it, when Edwards wanted to get rid of Henderson and Fabinho, or not give Henderson the contract and wanted to replace him? We're looking at that kind of now, like, well, maybe we should have refreshed the squad sooner. And I think that's where it comes into play. When you're getting that kind of money, then you're like, all right, Salah might give us 2 more good seasons, but we can look at alternatives and really build for the next iteration of the squad. So torn into, I think it's a real big loss once he does leave, and it just really marks a new page in the Liverpool history books.
Yeah, it's going to be a scary time. I've just seen a comment from Alan about, can Salah be sold after our window closes? Yeah, I think it's 2 weeks, is it? 2 or 3 weeks.
But he doesn't have a transfer clause in the contract, right? So it's like,
don't accept it. Yeah, he could just come in with stupid offers up until 2 weeks after ours closes. So it's not going to die down anytime soon. I think all players will be linked everywhere in the last 2 weeks that they've got everyone. But before we do move on, don't forget to leave a like and a subscribe on the video. It does really help us out loads with the YouTube algorithm. So please do that if you can. But moving on, Ben Doak is apparently very close to a Scotland call-up, reading in between the lines with what Steve Clarke said today. And he said, like, Ben knows that we're watching him. He knows he's part of the future, but he still has to continue what he's doing at his club, and he has to continue playing well. He said, and especially at a club like Liverpool, if you're playing well, it's like, obviously they're going to be close to the national team. So at such a young age, Ben, do you think he is ready to go on a national stage with Scotland?
Yeah, definitely. To be honest with you, I think even leaving him out, I thought was a bit strange, because we're talking about a kid who's getting minutes for one of the biggest teams in the world, and he's not getting the call up. And you've got to look at like who else they've got in there, you know, that Doak could rival. And I think like you look at some of them, and if it was me and I was picking that team, I'd have put him in straight away. I think Christie for Bournemouth's in there, and you know, the Queen Park Rangers striker, and I just think that it was a bit bizarre because I think that he could have he can give them something that some of them players just can't. But I thought it was a bit of a mad one. But it'll be great when he obviously does get the call up. But for me, I was just a little bit taken back by the fact that he wasn't called up now. Thought it baffled me.
Yeah, Mihai, what do you make on it? Like, I completely agree with Ben. I mean, I'm a bit biased towards Ben Doak though, because I've been watching him for a few seasons in the academy, and he's unbelievable. And I've said so many times, Drew's been in, I've been like, he's so good. Wait till he's in the first team. But what do you think more he needs to do to get that call up? Do you think it's just a few more minutes this season and he'll be called up next time, or do you think maybe he needs to get a few goals, a few assists before Steve Clarke considers him?
I think it's a matter of minutes now. To be honest, I think this season kind of showed us what he's capable of. Like already the beginning of the season, and especially in preseason, what we've seen from him. I just thought he brings like this special energy every time he comes on. Like he's, doesn't have a problem going one-on-one against pretty much anyone who's in front of him. That's to have that kind of courage, at his age, not to go with another term, I think shows that, he's capable of big things. But of course, I think you kind of have to be patient with it. It is complicated because on the one hand, you don't necessarily have to play him if you call him up. Like, you can just get him in for him to learn the atmosphere, the dressing room, be there, kind of learn, observe, know what's going on, be involved. But I think as soon as he plays a few matches, which I think he will, especially in Europa League now, I think you could definitely give him some minutes there, and even start him because, again, he looks that good. So once he does that and has a few matches under his belt, I'm pretty sure he gets called up.
Yeah, I mean, Drew, Muse makes a good point. You've got to be careful with young players. And as a little nod to remember Woodburn, who had very, very high hopes, but it just feels a little bit different with Doak, doesn't it? Even taking me absolute love from aside, it just feels that little bit different given when he has had them first team minutes, he's still continued to impress.
Yeah, I think Woodburn didn't have as high a ceiling as Doak does. Like Doak is, I mean, you called it out, like you said, past 2 years, you've been talking about him in the academy, and he's the closest player that reminds me of like a Raheem Sterling in terms of when you see him, you're like, this kid has the potential to play at the top level. Yeah. And I get the understanding of burnout and pressing players too young and giving them too much responsibility on their shoulders. I think Arsenal is a key example of that, where how many young players you see go through like Ainsley Maitland-Niles and then just see them disappear. But I think that's where, like, as far as like the youth management, I think Klopp's very good at that. I mean, even transfers, historically, it's rare that he'll buy someone and they come in and bed in the team right away. I think you can count on one hand how many players jumped right into the first team, and Luis Diaz is up there, but like Fabinho took a while to bed in, Robertson took a while to bed in, and I think he's like, it's shown that he's very, like, especially with the case of Doak, that he's keeping an eye on him and he's not putting too much pressure on his shoulders too early. He's just easing him and just right. So with the international team, I don't see that being the case, like, unless they put like the national team on his shoulders, but I don't see them doing that. And also you have Andy Robertson there to look after him as well. So I don't think he's just going to be isolated and, be on his own out there. And then, Ben mentioning the caliber of players that Scotland has in their team. I think, what is it, McGinn and Robertson are like the veterans and the best quality players on the team. At Tierney for not an Arsenal anymore, but you're looking at so few high class talents that having Doak in there, at least like he doesn't even have to start if Clark doesn't think he's ready. It's like put him on the bench, have him come on and get some minutes. I think he's at that stage, Mihai said it's like minutes is what he needs going forward, and he's going to get that at Liverpool with the domestic competitions and probably some Europa League games. And I think that can be the same case in the international setup. So a bit baffling decision, but this is, Ben Doak's going to have a long career, and it's only a matter of time before he breaks in.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Before we move on, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe on the video. And I want to bring this comment up from David because he said it twice. So I know we out 3 times. So I know he wants to burning for us to answer it. Do you think we'll get 2 more players, and who? And because we got 3 points yesterday, and if we get 3 points on Sunday, do you think we can win the league? I'll start, David. I really don't know if we're going to buy anyone. I know as much as probably you know. I hope we get 2 more players in, but I don't think if we win on Sunday that determines if we're going to win the Premier League either, to be honest. We're looking quite good, still undefeated, but it's a long season. What about you, Ben?
I'm optimistic. I don't think we'll get anyone, but I'm optimistic. And in terms of who, I reckon that if we're going to get anyone, it is going to be one of these signings that it comes a little bit like the Sobo deal, just comes completely out of nowhere. That's the sort of deal I reckon we'll get done. And in response to winning the league, I think, and I know we're currently still in the summer transfer window, I think that if we can stay within, say, 6 points of the top 4 going into Christmas, and we have a good January, then I like the resilience that I saw yesterday, that stubbornness, and that's something we lacked last season. So you never know. And I know obviously he was a new signing last season, but Núñez might have just found his launch pad at St James's Park, and he might act like a new signing as well.
What about you, Mihai? Do you think we can win the league if we win on Sunday?
Ben said he's a bit more optimistic. I'm a pessimist. I think I've said it on other streams as well. So we've got a bit more balanced panel now. The thing is, with buying someone, it's weird, isn't it? Because in a way, when things go quiet is where you expect us to sign someone, because that was the case in the last few years with deals being done out of nowhere, like with Endo, for example, even with Szoboszlai as well this summer. Honestly, I have no clue. Being more of a pessimist, obviously I want to say no, but I have, until the transfer window closes, I do have that bit of hope that we actually go and sign someone, because we desperately need someone. About winning the league, I don't know, it's complicated, because realistically, if you want to win the league, I think we've talked about it at the beginning of the summer. We said we need probably 3 mids and a center back. We got 3 mids while also selling our core midfield from the last few seasons in Hendo and Fabinho. So that kind of just, we were talking about 3 mids as things were standing, not with also selling someone. So the thing is, I remember every time I think about winning the league, I remember the season where the 2020-21 season, after we won the league, where by Christmas we beat Spurs at home with that Firmino header in 94th minute, whatever. We were like 4 or 5 points up by December. Then we lost to Leicester, and things went downhill with the injuries and everything, and we got lucky to finish in the top 4 by the end of the season. So I think our squad is, I know Jurgen usually likes a smaller squad, so that's a given, but I do think we needed, in order to go for the league, we needed reinforcements and more serious ones, and we didn't get it. And I think and that's a big if, once we play in the EFL Cup, FA Cup, Europa League, once those competitions start, once the international breaks start, we avoid injuries, then maybe we can go for the league challenge. But that's a very big if. And with our the players that we have, like with, you look at Konate always picking up a knock, Matip as well, Joe Gomez, who might also, misses the occasional game. I don't know. I'm just not really confident. I think that maybe with a DM and with a center back, I would think then that we can challenge, but we were obviously not getting those, so I'd be reserved.
Yeah, I mean, Drew, it's a bold prediction, isn't it, from David to say, can we win the league if we win against Aston Villa? But what's your take on it?
Yeah, like I always have my red tinted glasses on because I'm an optimist and I wouldn't like to go into anything with a defeatist attitude. But that being said, if we do win the league, I think it's going to be because City fall off. Like if Rodri got injured, I'd be very curious to see how City perform without him. I think missing him would be detrimental to their season. Kind of like when Fernandinho got injured. I think that was one of the biggest injuries for them when we won the league. But because like when we came out fighting for the league, we knew who the starting 11 was. Like we had a solid team. We knew the best 11, and we were at the starting race. Like the gun went off, and we just blitzed the league, and that I think is necessary. And I don't think we're settled. Like I think Klopp yesterday in his post match was, when got questioned about Nunez, and he was just like talking about finding a formation and finding a settled team, and he was like, we haven't done that yet. He's like, it could have been Nunez that started the first couple of days. He's like, we're just trying to get this to work. And that for me is like, if City wasn't in the conversation, then I would definitely say we have a huge chance of winning the league, and I think we could. But I think City is such a well-oiled machine that you can't look past them for winning the league. And De Bruyne is out, but I think you need maybe one more injury to Rodri to really even the kind of scales for having a 100%, yeah, we can win the league. I think it's always possible, and I'm never going to count us out until it's mathematically impossible to do so, because that's just how I am as a supporter and I am as a person. But I definitely think it's hard to look past City and their current state and the way they just steamroll teams. Like 3 out of 3 kind of shows it. The fact that we're basically tied second on 7 points just shows how much grit and talent that we do have. But we need a lot more if we're going to take down City again.
I've got a quick question to ask you all as well.
Go on.
So you've got a choice to make. You can either sign a defender or a midfielder this transfer window. I'd sign a defender just purely because, we've got people coming back from injury. And I think that in the midfield, although we are missing that 6, having Endo, having Thiago, having Bajcetic, having Curtis Jones, who I know you love very well, very much, Matty. I think that we need a defender more than a midfielder right now.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with that. I've just seen a comment there from David saying, do you think Nat Phillips might get games? And I think if we don't sign a defender, that's a very realistic possibility, really, because like Scratch says here, if it works, if you forget about Europa, Carabao and FA Cup for this season, then we get top 4. I mean, he's right, because we've got so many competitions. I think midfield's all right. We definitely need defensive midfield, but we'll go on to that in a bit. But if we're not getting one of them, I don't think we really need someone for them 2 roles, because McAllister and Szoboszlai don't get injured that much historically, touch wood. And then you've got like Thiago to be used as that luxury midfielder. You've got Elliott, who's looked really good. You've got Curtis Jones. You've got Bajcetic. So there's depth there. Mahaya, what are you going to answer, Ben?
Yeah, sorry. See, this is really complicated because I do I have to choose one? Like, I don't know. It's just, to me, they're both as important. I feel like I would rather, maybe like 51%. I'd incline more towards taking a defender because of We talked earlier about our center backs being injury prone. Still, when you look at that midfield, you feel like we need a six. We need someone to just make the dirty work in midfield. Like, we got Endo. Obviously, we can judge him for after, I don't know, 57 minutes yesterday, but when he comes in, you don't think he's gonna be the number one choice for that number six. So yeah, I don't know. I guess I'd rather take a defender. But see, this is where the problem is. I feel like this is it's pissing me off every time we have these conversations, because we absolutely needed to get a DM and a center back, and that's the end of it. We are the biggest club in England. We've won everything we could have won in the last few years, and we're now sitting here talking about, do we rather take a DM? Do we rather take a center back? No, we get who we needed to get. Like, this is just it comes back. Everything comes back. The season where we won the league, and the next one we didn't buy the center back. We didn't replace Genie. We didn't get a DM last season when we wanted to send Chouamini and missed out on him. It's just so many of these past few windows that were like this. And again, we seem like we needed proper reinvestment this season. And again, it hasn't happened. So, yeah. Just, I'd rather take a defender, yeah, but...
What about you, Drew? Defender or midfielder?
I just think the injury crisis at center back that could potentially be on the cards with how many injury-prone center backs that we do have just demands a center back in first. I would really love a six, because it's still, besides Endo, we don't have an out-and-out number six. But it already seems like Klopp's doing the double pivot, kind of move to that later in the game as well. And we have, like, I'm with Mihai, we need both, but if you're only going to get one, I think center back, already, like, Matip was he taking off like 70 minutes around that mark, and he cannot play 3 games a week. So if Konate's little knock turns out more serious, or if he gets another one, Van Dijk red card, all of those kind of things, it's like, we don't want to rely on Nat Phillips and Akwansa like pairing to get us through an entire season. So we need another center back.
Especially as we've been there before, like with the Nat Phillips and Reece Williams playing at Old Trafford a few years back, and that happened to us already,
Not many people can do a turn like that. What a turn that was. Not cheeky turn.
Absolutely incredible. Yeah, before we move on, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. It does really help us out loads. 164 years in here. Unsure how many likes you're on, but if we can get it to 50, that'd be brilliant for this Monday. Before we do move on, though, I want to raise this just purely because we've got a video coming out on Andre. In pretty much the shortest form possible, Fluminense are in the quarterfinals of the Copa Libertadores. So selling Andre now is like suicide for them. Chances are we'll probably get him in January, and Fluminense are of the belief that all their fans are of the belief he will come to Liverpool. So I think he will come, but I think it'd damage our relationship with them if we got him now and not in January when they've got the competition. But moving on, Doucoure talks of it as a standstill, probably because more news came out after that we don't want another CDM, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Focus on Doucoure, Ben. It's from RMC Sports, who are very reliable. The talks are rumoured, those would be of being at a standstill because they want 70 million for Doucoure, which we don't value him at. But we're at that point in the window now, aren't we, where it's like, well, got a source of pay it. We've got 111 million that FSG have told us now they've got by bidding for Casado. It's just one of them. You're going to have to overpay in order to not go into the season weak.
It's crazy though, 70 million, isn't it? Because to be honest with you, had you have said to me Doucoure's name probably before last season, I wouldn't have knew who he was. So to pay 70 million on the back of one good season from Crystal Palace, who, it's stupid money, isn't it? But that's just the way the market is, I suppose. I think what they're saying is, we don't need to sell him. So if you want to buy him, this is the price tag. I don't think. I think 60 million. I think 60, 70 million is far too much for him. I think he's 45, 50. I think that had we have not shown our hand with Caicedo, we would have got him a lot cheaper than that. But I still don't know whether he's the answer for us. I don't want a panic buy. I want an informed decision made. He's a good player, but 70 million, really? I think you could get. I think there's better value out there and better players out there for that sort of money. It's just too, but crazy money, that 70 million. Just to put that into context, Crystal Palace want 10 million less than Al Ittihad are currently to give us upfront for Mohamed Salah. Just doesn't work for me.
Very true, Mahai. What's your take on it? I mean, we weren't even linked with them. I mean, I know we do stuff behind closed doors, but there was no murmurs of them because it was all Lavia this, Lavia that, then Caicedo, and then we lost both of them, and it was okay, we're going to get Doucoure. So, like Ben said, do you think this could be a panic buy if we did go and pay the 70 million? That's why we're not doing it.
I mean, there's again mixed feelings about this because in a way I would take him because we desperately need someone there, but that amount of money is just obscene. So yeah, I don't know. It's again, it depends on how much do you really want to spend, and how much do you really think that he's the one to help you, get you forward. Because in a way, when we spent that amount of money on Virgil, on Ali, it was hefty amount of money, but at the same time, you knew those were players who could get us, one step further. At the moment, obviously, you don't think Doucoure is the player to do that for us, but at the same time, that's how the market it is now. It's just what Ben said, after Brighton sold Caicedo for 120 million euros, then you're not gonna, obviously, in the position. I think Scratch said it in the comments. Palace don't need to sell right now, so why would they, just lower their asking fee? Of course, they're gonna ask for like a crazy amount, so they can either get to keep him or they get to make a huge profit on him, and it's win-win. So yeah, I don't know. I'm still a bit upset or disappointed rather that we didn't go for Florentino Luis from Benfica. I thought at some point I read he had like a 45 million euros release clause. I always thought he was solid, but then yeah, I guess the club know better.
Yeah, I mean, Drew, it's tough really, isn't it? Because there is probably options out there cheaper. I mean, when we go on, when we move on in a second about us not wanting a CDM, it looks like we want a versatile midfielder. Now that, to me, looks like Kone. Now we'd get in for a lot cheaper than 70 mil. So would you say at that price yourself, Doucoure's out the question really? Because he's no way is he worth that.
No, he's not. And I get the point of Palace holding all the cards in this situation, but I also think if we don't buy him for that money now, like in January or next summer, is anyone going to pay 70 million for Doucoure? I don't think so. I don't think it's like a Caicedo deal where, Brighton hold on to him and they know they're going to get a big bid in the next window. I don't think Doucoure is that kind of player. I think they're kind of playing Liverpool right now for the desperate situation that we're in. And they're like, we know you need this position, so we're going to hold your feet over the fire. But that's where I don't see it. It's like Kone is somebody we were reportedly following as early as the window starting, like the U21 World Cup injury kind of set that off, but it didn't. It turned out that it's not as bad as we thought it was. And when you have options like that, Thuram, I know there's issues with his wages and all that, but it's not like Doucoure is the only option on the market. So for 70 million, I think that's an absolutely ridiculous fee. And it's one of the ones where, like, I'd only see us getting it if that's the only deal we can get over the line. If Klopp is really like, we need someone else in this midfield, and we just need to get it done. And if Kone couldn't be done, Thuram couldn't be done, Gravenberch couldn't be done, Doucoure is the only one that they could get over the line 100% sure, then that'd be the only reason I see us going for him. But
and it's at 70 million as well. Sorry to jump in there, Drew. It's 70 million, just to give you an idea on how bad a value that is as well. So you've got Manuel Ugarte, £51.2 million this summer. You've got Sandro Tonali, £52 million. You've got Lavia, 53. Szoboszlai, 60 million. And I don't think that Doucoure is a better player than any of them. I don't think his ceiling's as high as any of theirs. So for me, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, moving on with it sort of ties in really. I mean, the Athletic FC, I'd said today, again, very reliable, that we would still like to sign another multi-functional midfielder, but our search for a defensive-minded 6 is now over. If another central player who can mix guts and guile is sourced, then we will be satisfied with our business. I don't know about you, Ben, but to me, it just seems a little bit like Liverpool, the Athletic, David Ornstein, most reliable journalist for Liverpool with Joyce. Liverpool, it just screams to me like we do want Doucoure, but we're publicly saying no, we don't want a 6 anymore. In an effort that this week Doucoure might go, hold on a minute, you've drove them out with the price, which has been reported as well that he's worried of that happening. So that screams a little bit of use our journos to make it look like, okay, well, we don't want one anyway. We'll just go and get Gravenberch and mould them. Do you think that could play a part in Doucoure maybe in bringing the price down a little bit?
Quite possibly. But, I think that, the players got to force the club's hands as well there. And I think that, let us make no mistake about it. He knows, if Liverpool are banging on the door, you're opening the door. It's that simple. And if it's going in his ear from his agent or from wherever that Liverpool aren't paying it, they're looking at other options, and there's a chance for him where he thinks his opportunity to go to a massive club slipping away. He might, shot his dummies out. He might shot his dummy out the pram and, push for the move. But to be honest with you, I think that's the only way, anything was to happen if that valuation comes down, because anything over 50 million for me it's crazy.
I mean, how worrying would it be if what the reporting is true and we are done in our search for 6 and we're more than satisfied of Bajcetic and Endo? I mean, not against Bajcetic, but he's just better as an 8 than a 6. So we've ultimately got Endo.
Then I guess we would stop entertaining questions about winning the league. I mean, yeah, with the situation we're in, I guess. See, I don't want to be, again, like I've seen a few times in the comments in the past few streams, people saying I'm too pessimist. But like realistically, when you look at that squad as a whole, when you know the squad, when you know the injury-prone players, top 4 is probably where we would be happy to finish if we don't get any other reinforcements in. It's just as it is. And when I saw that multifunctional midfielder, I just thought that screams Gravenberch. It's like another way of saying it. He's not a 6. He's like some sort of a hybrid 8. He is fairly, massive. You would see him being morphed into a 6 or something like that. But again, what's the point? When signing players, you're just going to play them out of position, compromise in the position, not playing them to their strengths. Yeah, I don't know. And again, to me, it seems I'm actually curious as to what we're going to do, because with both, so with Kone, I've seen all the links go away. So when I hear multifunctional midfielder, I'm thinking Gravenberch or maybe Thuram. But with both of them, the problem was their wages. I know Gravenberch is on 150k pounds a week now at Bayern. So does he take a pay cut? You were going to give him the wages of, I don't know, Van Dijk, Thiago. No, you're not. So I don't know. To me, it just seems like we're gonna do one of those things where we, put in a lowballing offer, and then we're just gonna get, we tried it. We tried to go for him, but it didn't work out. Next summer, though. Next summer, there's a war chest next summer of 200 million. Reinvest, rebuild. That's where it's gonna happen. Always next summer,
Yeah, I mean, Drew, I'm somewhat worried by the report from the Athletic that we don't want another 6, but I straight away took it more as we're just doing this to drive prices down for players, so it doesn't look like we're absolutely desperate. And maybe that's what Endo done. He was always clever, but Klopp coming out and saying, "Oh, you don't realise how much of a hidden gem we've got. His age is not, and we don't want to CDM them feeding it to your journos. We don't want to CDM. It's going to force the CDMs who you're talking to be like, hold on a minute, and go knocking on the op manager's door. I want to go, isn't it? Surely."
Yeah, that makes sense to me, because I don't think FSG like to be that club that pays top dollar or over the top prices. Like, Van Dijk and Allison are the only ones I can think of at the moment that were the case, but they were completely justified by how they performed, and no one's talking about either of their price tags now. But paying something like that for a Doucoure, that just it kind of reminds me of Man United transfer business, where you're buying an Anthony for 80 million, and Sancho, and regardless of the hype around the players, how much are they really worth? And I don't think FSG likes to get into that bracket. And I don't know, business wise for me, they need to bring someone in. I'm not going to let them off the hook there, but I think when you start paying those crazy monies, you look at Chelsea, how much money they've dropped on their midfield. You're just putting yourself in that next bracket. And I think we said it before, where Caicedo money shows that we have money, but I think you just addressed it with the Endo signing. I think that's the kind of backup where it's hey, we have cover, and we're not going to be put to the gun here for ridiculous fee. And there is more than one option out there. So, it definitely seems like it's trying to at least put some of the chips back on our side of the table for saying we can still negotiate here. We don't need to make this done. And then games like Newcastle, or Klopp's more than once come out and said in past, not now, happy with the squad, listing all the players that we have, saying that we have the coverage, and he's talking about center backs, etc. So I don't think it'd be the smart decision, but I could easily see us just not getting anyone and then holding out for January and kind of reloading and seeing where we're at then. So yeah, I'm leaning towards what you're saying with the article shouldn't be taken as the end all be all final word.
I mean, playing the other side of it, I suppose, Ben, if I'm worried in a sense of the transfer deadline days on Friday, when I was saying we don't want to CDM, there's 4 days after today until it does close. Do you think, I can't think of who it was, someone said, is top 4 the aim, but do you think it is the aim for the owners this year to just get top 4 and get back in the Champions League? It could even be top 5. We know the coefficients, it's changed and the format's changing, but is that the aim, to just maybe have a good cup or maybe win the Europa League, just try and get in the Champions League, basically?
I mean, I actually think that deluded, that they believe that the squad that we've got is good enough to win the league. The depth of the squad, and that's what I honestly believe. But obviously it's so close now, isn't it? It's we're going to go to sleep, wake up, tomorrow's going to be Tuesday, and the clock will continue to tick. To be honest with you, I'll stick to what I said before. I don't think we'll sign anyone unless it's going to be someone who, that just comes out of nowhere, someone who we weren't expecting. But yeah, I think that they'd take top 4, wouldn't they? But I tell you what, there'll be absolute carnage if we missed out on the league by, if the league was there for the taking and we never got it because the depth, the squad depth, and enough money wasn't spent. As well, what's interesting is with the way that what FSG have done in the past is they do like to see they do like to see the first half of the season play out. They're not before going in for a big signing in January. So I think that they expect Liverpool to challenge for the title. I think that they'd be happy with a top 4. But it wouldn't surprise me that if we're in with a shout going into the January transfer market, that we'll go big then.
Interesting. Mahai, there's comments here from you, which I completely agree with, about Caicedo probably being a phantom bid to show like, oh, look, we did try and get him, but he went to Chelsea. Never had any intentions. I mean, it was nailed on. He was going to Chelsea. I don't think we had any chance, really. I think us as fans knew that. So if they've used that as the phantom bid, it's a bit stupid from them, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and it kind of screwed up the rest of the window for us. With all the things that we've said, now everyone knows we have the money. Everyone knows we're willing to pay that kind of money. So yeah, it's kind of left us in this position that we're in right now. So I don't really know what else to say. To me, it's odd in a sense that you remember when Spurs wanted to sign Luis Diaz, so we went in. No, this is a player we wanted. Spurs want to sign him. You just get in, sign him now, get it done. Man United wanted to sign Gakpo. Same story. We got in. We knew he was a player we wanted to bring in long term. We saw there was a possibility to lose him there, and then we just went in and got him. As it was. So then that happened with players for our attack, where I think we're settled for a few years, but we are shown to be vulnerable at the back in midfield. So why not add players in those positions? Like, I don't get it. And I think someone said it in the comments as well. Realistically, the CDMs you thought were gonna be solid for the next few years were probably Rice, Caicedo, Tchouaméni, and now you don't really have a lot others in mind. Rice was always going to go to Arsenal. Caicedo, we were never going to spend that money. Tchouaméni, we missed out on. But again, we've let... And you know what upsets me even more is when you think about, we have Alisson, we have Van Dijk, Robertson, Mo Salah, Firmino and Mane have gone. These, like, we've had such a great generation of players and such a great team, and we could have won so much more, even though, and that, I know it sounds weird because then I know we've won everything we could have, but then, especially in the 2021-22 season, the quadruple season run, what if in that season we had a few more pair of legs on the bench? Maybe things would have worked out differently, because I know that season Fabinho played so many minutes in pretty much every competition. So yeah, I guess, I don't know, it's just weird because it feels like we've missed out on a great generation. We could have won so much more, and we've always been 1 point behind, or with the Champions League final with Madrid, they've had one shot on goal. We missed out on so many opportunities, and I just feel like we've wasted such a good generation with, not backing the manager enough when we had to. So, yeah, it's just sad.
Yeah, I mean, before we do move on with adding Gravenberch into the mixture, I completely agree with these comments, by the way. If I'm easy, Ollie, that we'd have much more control and look better this season with Fabinho in the team. If we kept Fab for another season, we'd be sound. Completely and utterly agree. But I do think that you're never going to get 40 million for Fabinho again. That's what we paid for him, to be fair. So come in, won a lot left. But yeah, we would look much better with Fabinho. But this money, Drew, 111 million that John Henry pretended to bid for Caicedo. The talk today about Gravenberch for coming from Toby Altshuffle, who is reliable, has said that we're going in for Gravenberch with a loan. So where's all the money gone? Because, I mean, we've only spent about 40 mil this summer, because you're talking, what was it, 60 for Soboslai, 35 for McAllister. So that's 95 million we've sold for just Fabinho and Henderson alone for 50 million. So we spent 45 million, but now we're looking at Gravenberch on loan. So what do you make of that?
If it was a loan with an option to buy, then
Yeah, it's an obligation to buy, like, but
okay. Yeah.
it's a loan now.
Yeah, as far as the money expenditure, I'm not surprised because we have that history. It's like the precedent is there, and it kind of goes back to, for me, it seems like we only bid for option A, maybe if there's an option B, but we don't go down the line. It doesn't seem like we have like a full list of players. This season is like the only time where I've seen we're talking about so many different midfielders and, you know, A, B, C, D, E, F, G kind of thing because of how desperately we needed them. But normally, like, I just, you know, remember Van Dijk when kind of it's kind of fluffed that deal in the summer transfer window. And then it's like, nope, we're not buying anyone else. We're waiting until January and we're going to get them in. And that kind of, like, it's, for me, teeter-tottering, because I can see how that is beneficial in getting who we want in to the team and not settling for less, and then also not being held up to like ridiculous transfer fees for players we didn't want. But at the same time, I think you get those situations like Mihai was saying where we're having these seasons where we're pushing, you know, for the league, we lose it by 1 point, or we get to the Champions League final. Was it 3 times? We only won once. Like, I don't necessarily think that all falls on recruitment, but you just don't know if we had that one extra guy in midfield who is just added more quality than we had that we could throw on. We just don't know. And that's, I think, the most frustrating thing is because you never want to have regrets or doubts about a season. Like, if we only did this, if we only did that, especially when it's like, you know, FSG can afford at least one more signing. And if we don't get anyone now, it's kind of like, what are we doing? Are we just, again, waiting, like relying on old parts in our car to get us through one more year? It's like, it's clear that they need replacing. And if this was 3 years ago, I would have a lot more faith and trust, being like, okay, we've got it in, we're making the forward progression. But this is a problem we have year after year after year. And I said, for me, this was kind of like the make or break transfer window for me in FSG, because I always, like, I'll never forget what they did for the club. I'll never forget how much they put into it outside of the field, as well as for what they've done with the trophy cabinet. But when you continually ignore a problem that everyone sees, and it happens again and again and again, and it bites you again and again and again, and you don't do anything to correct those mistakes, that's where it becomes inexcusable for me. And like you said, I don't think the Caicedo bid was a phantom deal. We look way too terrible. Like, it's just embarrassing. And I also said, I think in our group chat, where it's like if you did that as like a phantom bid, you're at an auction and you throw up 110 million, way over the asking price, and you're relying on someone else to put in the bid. So if above yours, and if you don't have the money, like, you just look even worse. But we still ended up looking worse after that situation. Yeah. So we have the money. You don't make a bid like that if you don't have the money. And then we lost Lavia, and Endo was okay, but like, I like Endo. I think he'll do a job for us, but that still doesn't rectify the inadequacy of addressing that part of the midfield. And we haven't rectified that Caicedo bid mistake, that Caicedo and Lavia just dropping of the ball. I don't think we've rectified that, and that still needs to be done in the last few days of the transfer window. Gravenberch on loan just about gets you over the line. I felt like I would not be stoked. I'd be like, I'd be very mixed feeling about that. I'd be very annoyed that they didn't make anything more concrete, but that, I think, barely papers the cracks.
Yeah. I mean, Ben, there's been a few comments saying a loan is good for Liverpool. And then Lava saying it, obviously looking at Andre and Jan, see who looks best. But I mean, if it's a loan with an option to buy, then yeah, because it's completely different to Arthur in a sense. He has got that potential. We have seen him at Ajax, but if it's a loan with an obligation to buy, then what's the point of that, really? Other than, because I'm worried then that they say, well, next summer, well, we've had to spend this much money on Gravenberch, so we've only got 10 mil to play with now. Because that's what they do.
Yeah, it's a bit of a bad one, isn't it? Because, mind you, there is two spins to it. The first spin is, with the obligation to buy, at what price? What price would the obligation to buy be? But the other spin on that, Matty, is, let's say we do get Grav on loan, and he comes in and he has an absolute belting season, and there's no obligation to buy. Bayern could get a bidding war for him from that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. For me, going back to what I was saying earlier, if Grav comes on loan, if it's a loan move, that to me tells me that the money could be getting spent somewhere else. So if it is a loan deal, I'd be a lot more optimistic about seeing a centre back come in this window. But for obligation to buy, what price? I think the price will be a key factor in that.
Even if you have an option, do you get first refusal? So say we had a £40 million option to buy him. Can we buy him then before anyone else comes in, or can they have to bid on more?
An option to buy. I think we'd get first refusal. Surely we would, wouldn't we? Wouldn't we?
You'd think so.
You would think so. But if there wasn't, an option to buy, if there was an obligation to buy, from a buying point of view, it probably would make sense to not have it, because they still think he's going to come good, and I think that would probably make more sense for them. I mean, obviously we've got a good relationship with Bayern. We had the Thiago, the Mane deal, so there's a good possibility that Grav could come. Although I say a good possibility, I still feel that he won't, even on a loan deal. But the idea of Grav coming in on loan and the money going towards a centre back wets my lips.
Yeah, what about you, Mahai? Do you think that's another logic to look at, really, isn't it? That alone could then maybe see the money spent on a centre back. I mean, the thing that really winds me up is Gvardiol was the perfect player for what we need. Someone who can play left back and who can play centre back. So if we then go and loan Gravenberch and that money, say for Casado, was there, that would have paid for Gvardiol, because we did look at him in January.
Yeah, and I think we all kind of realize that if we're not signing a center back now, we're kind of committing to getting one next summer. That's an absolute must. So again, with I think Gvardiol and Colwill were probably the best prospects to sign this summer for pretty much anyone, probably the best up-and-coming center backs. And knowing we had the money there, I don't know. So I the thing is, I understood at the beginning of the window when we said we're not signing Jude Bellingham. Like, I got it. The fee with the add-ons and then the wage, I totally got it. We're not gonna go in and bid that amount of money for him. It's way too much. We got obviously great deals with McAllister and Szoboszlai, but then we just stopped.
Yeah.
And doesn't make any sense. So with Gravenberch, see, the thing is, part of me says this screams to me like it's a United deal. They just overpay on the transfer fee, overpay on his wages, and it's a win-win for everyone except United. And it's kind of their deal, like how they usually do the deal. So it's fine. But then again, a player like him could work at United, and that's not necessarily good news for us. Now, of course, they're not going to buy someone just to, for them not to go to United. But I think if we actually wanted to sign Gravenberch, we would probably be done by now. So I don't know. To me, I just don't see the plan. again, I'm afraid that it's not gonna be forward thinking, because as you said, Maddie, with Guardiola, we know we're gonna need a center back next summer. So again, it seems like we know we definitely need one next summer, but when we had one available now that would have solved our problems for next summer, we could have done it now. We're gonna get next year into that window, and we're gonna be like, well, there are no center backs, good center backs left. Like, who are we gonna sign? And we're gonna wait another season, maybe another window, and then we're gonna see who's available. And it's kind of the fallacy that we've been falling for in these last few years. So, yeah.
I mean, that finally, Drew, that's just Mahai makes a good point. That's the worrying thing about it, really, isn't it? That years ago we were so nailed on improving everything, when now it just feels like we're miles off since Michael Edwards departed, really.
Yeah, I think you just hit the nail on the head with the Michael Edwards comment. It's like everything seems so structured, and we just made deals right away, beginning of the window, got it done. Where I'm thinking back to the Fabinho deal after we lost the Champions League. That was like a huge pick me up after that loss, where it's like, all right, we're already looking forward to the future. We have a plan. And what we do that next year, we won the Champions League. This transfer window has to be like the worst in recent memory, just because it just seems, in terms of like getting things done, it just seemed all over the place. Like, right, it started off well, like McAllister, and then we're just like, all right, like, let's go. And then what was it, like a month before we got Szoboszlai in? And then same kind of thing. It was like, all right, we finally got that next one in. Let's go. Let's get it done. And then, another 6 weeks passed by, and then we got Endo in that, like, after the whole Caicedo disaster clash. So it's just so unlike previous windows, where it seemed like we had just a fixed agenda. We had a plan, and then, we got it done. I think the first one where it didn't really work out that way was like the Tchouaméni one for me, but at least we had the plan. And this one, it just seems like we're throwing, crap against the wall and, seeing what sticks, that old cliche. And it's disheartening, because it's, as I said before, it's like, this isn't new, where we're heading into the last week of the transfer window needing players. And that's such a horrible position to be in. And it's like, it's really shame on you, FSG, for not learning from your mistakes that you've done year after year after year. And it's getting inexcusable at this point. And that's where I'm at the, like you need to get this done. Like, you need to. And it's going to be more of a relief than a happy feeling. It's going to be like, okay, thank God we got it done. Or it's just going to be like Mihai said, it's like, are we going to do this in January? Are we going to do it next season? Because you haven't given us the precedent to put faith in you in that department. So hopefully we get it done. It will be a relief.
Yeah, hopefully. Hopeful FC, it seems, at the minute, though. But we will leave it there. We are back tomorrow at 7:30, and we are also going to be doing a transfer deadline day stream, just in case Liverpool do miraculously decide to pull the finger out on Friday. And we're doing a transfer deadline day stream. Stephen's going to be joining us from 10 p.m, so do not miss that one on Friday. We are here every day at 7:30. Before we go, don't forget to leave a like and a subscribe on the video. It does help us out loads. It makes the streams bigger and better. So please do that before you go. I've been Matty, joined by Ben, Mahai, and Drew. Nice one for watching.